So what's on the horizon here in the next version? You can see here a listing of all the new features. The first item here displays MS Teams support. Yeah, so we have added a new native notification channel to EA that allows us to send instant messages to Teams channels. Pretty great stuff, and we will talk about that on the next slide. Next item here is a two-way integration with Signal 4, was also mentioned and announced. Yeah, so we have added again a connector here, two-way capabilities, and we will also show you all the great functionality here in a few moments. Then the next item refers to a new kind of intelligence that we added to our triggering of alert policies, where we now are kind of threshold and status aware. Yeah, so that's particularly handy for IoT-based integrations like OPC or MQTT via REST-based maybe. So that helps us when it comes to deduplication and only getting things once and then not every time again and again. So talking about that also later. And last but not least, enhancement in our implementation of our high availability in the active-active clustering mode. Yeah, so this is actually what's on the table. And let's hop into the details here for all these items. First one is the Teams channel. So some of you may remember some blog postings or how we started with looking at Microsoft Teams. We utilized some kind of remote action scripts or task scheduler stuff to have some prototyped integrations available. Then there was some feedback that it is sometimes not easy to manage this kind of an integration with Microsoft Teams. So what we have done now is we have really added a natively integrated additional notification channel that allows you to send instant messages to Teams. And it's based on the new platform, on the new framework that we've added in EA version 9. It's implemented in Node.js and is based on the incoming webhook app in Microsoft Teams. Yeah, so it's not bot-based, but uses the incoming webhook application that you add to the channels. And then the URL that you get for these kind of webhooks is what you enter as an instant messaging address on an integration user in the platform. Then you address this user with an instant message notification type, and then it ends up in the Teams channel. And the beauty here is that the message card and the information that's displayed can also contain like response buttons, acknowledgement, closing an alert, even with an annotation. So that's pretty cool stuff. So two-way is possible. And it's available in each EA plan. So that's the short fact. And with that, I would say let's look how that feels in the new version. And I hand over to Kai for a live demonstration.
Yeah. Here we see Enterprise Alert, and under System Notification Channels, we have a new type of channel here, in the channel gallery. So this type is Microsoft Teams, and you can open it here and you can create an instance of this channel. And now you have to enter some configuration details, and I prepared it here for the demo. We have here a working MS Teams channel configured.
Right.
These settings are only for the callback, for the reply.
For the incoming request from Teams when they press response buttons.
Yeah, it will be described in the tech channel session.
Yeah, absolutely. So
in detail, okay. We have this channel here. And we have a message route, for instant message addresses, which start with HTTPS. is then sent over these channel.
Yeah.
And we have an integration user here, a special user created for this scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the name is Teams Channel Cases. And this user has an IM address, which is addressed to the inbound webhook of the Teams channel.
So in Teams, in a channel that we want to send messages to, we have added the app, the webhook app, and then it displayed us this URL that we enter on this user account as instant message address.
Yeah, correctly.
That's cool.
So, and we have also an alert policy. It triggers on a REST event.
Yeah.
And then it forwards it to this Teams channel user via instant message. So here I can raise such event with a rester.
Yeah.
So event is created.
Policy triggers. Yeah.
Policy triggers. Yeah. Alert is created in Enterprise Alert.
Yeah.
And now in MS Teams, here we can see here is the channel cases. Yeah. And alert comes in here with all
details,
parameters and the description and the text. Yeah, and now I'm able here to acknowledge this alert.
You press that button and then.
And I got a confirmation from Enterprise Alert. I have acknowledged the alert. And we can see here the alert is acknowledged.
So now the button press triggered an HTTP call from Microsoft to these endpoints that we've briefly seen on the configuration page on a connector, right? On a channel, and then it updates the alert there.
Yeah.
Cool.
And now I can also close with a comment and problem solved.
Yeah.
And close. Yeah. The confirmation. Yeah. And here the alert is closed in Enterprise Alert, and we see here the confirmation.
Yeah. Great.
The comment. Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. So the same conversational approach when interacting with Enterprise Alert, like if I act via an incoming SMS or so, right, then I also get the confirmation back that I have acted or that the alert was closed in case I activate that, and now you read it through the Teams channel and have a great confirmation that your button press really did the job in EA, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so let's move on here to the next topic, which is about the integration of EA with Signal 4, that we refer to as Signal 4 Cloud Bridge or Cloud Bridge item in Enterprise Alert. Yeah. And what it gives you is several kind of enhancements in certain situations or scenarios, which are bulleted here on the slide. So on the very top, you can see a scenario where you may want to work or notify with external service providers or contractors, who you expect to look at your events and incidents, maybe in after hours or in the night. And then, they should maybe, filter a little bit and qualify the stuff and then maybe engage with you guys manually. But these folks may not have a account in your domain or in your AD. They may not be residents in your kind of network, which is the reason why you don't have them as users in EA and you cannot easily address them. But with the new Cloud Bridge, you could actually onboard these folks in Signal 4, then kind of import that according team to your EA base database, so to say, and then can address these guys and send notifications and alerts to these external users, and they can act and respond, which is also synchronized back to the original Enterprise Alert alerts. So that's pretty cool. Or if you have had difficulties maybe deploying the Enterprise Alert mobile app for app only cloud-affine users. Maybe there was policies and you were not able yet to open your gates or whatever. Then what you can also get is a mechanism to address these folks using Signal 4, onboard them there, and through your EA instance as well-established firewall system that can send data maybe to the cloud at least. They could use the S4 app and track kind of alerts and incidents as well in that mobile app. Yeah. Or last but not least, maybe you want to have some backup channels. Yeah, if you have only a few channels in your on-premises environment, and you have maybe also SMS hardware or so. If that fails, maybe you can then escalate or make use of Signal 4 and use its channels, SMS text, voice calls, push, and so on. To have a kind of backup stream towards your, I don't know, emergency admin account or whatever. So an easy way to actually attach alerting system residing in another cloud, in a SaaS cloud. And it's also available in EGA plan from version 9.1 onwards. And let's look at how data flows before we jump into a demo here as well. I mentioned it's outbound traffic that we talk about. So we coded a new kind of connector or module. We named it Cloud Bridge. You can see it on the picture on the bottom left here. And it's purely outbound notification to the Signal 4 API to trigger signals there, how we call alerts in Signal 4. And then to also query and poll the status of these signals. Yeah? So when Signal 4 app users then maybe respond, this acknowledgement can then be carried back to the original enterprise alert behind that signal. Yeah? And so in this way, we keep systems in sync. So it's purely outbound on the Signal 4 API, a secured connection, and you don't need to open up any incoming ports or so. That is what was important when we designed the integration and the solution. Yeah. And what you have in the cloud in Signal 4 is a subscription, an account basically. Yeah, you log on with these credentials during the integration. We will see it in a few moments, and then it's working with an API key that we create, and we can interact with Signal 4 through that TLS secured connection. Yeah, and with that, I hand it back to Kai, who is showing us how we can log on to Signal 4 from EA, select the teams and users basically that we want to import, so to say, and that we want to be able to address and target in our alert policies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here in Enterprise Alert, we have a new menu item, Cloud Bridge. Yeah. And when I opened this new page, when we have here a detailed description about Signal 4 and the Cloud Bridge. And we have here 2 shortcuts to open the Signal 4 portal or Signal 4 online knowledge base here in a new tab. And the first tile here contains linked teams.
So these are teams that reside in S4.
Yeah, we have here 2 teams linked from S4 to Enterprise Alert. Yeah, and to change the linking, I have to press the Manage button, and then I have to log on to Signal 4 here.
With my Signal 4 account that I can create and also sign up there on that page I see.
Yeah, it's also possible to sign up. So, when I'm logged on, when we can see both teams are linked, now I can unlink or change the tenants assigned to this team. I unlink this database team. And when I press Let's Go, then we will be logged out from Signal 4. for security reasons. And then the database team is gone. Yeah. Now I will link it again.
So the initial situation maybe after the update is that linked teams indicates a 0 number because there are no linked teams yet. And then you log on to your Signal 4 trial account maybe, and then you see one team there that's probably only named team. You would check the box and then specify the EA tenant that you want to place these records in.
Yeah. You can select some tenants.
Great.
Yeah, then the database team is initializing until the CloudBridge module has synced the team. Yeah. It can take up to 1 minute.
So provisioning is underway, and then I'm able to target this team and its users and policies and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
And Teams is eating up bandwidth, so it will take even longer now.
Yeah. Okay. Takes a little bit longer now.
Longer than expected. Something is taking longer than expected.
Yeah.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. Here, when I click on a tile, I can open the details, and I can rename the team here in Enterprise Alert to have a better naming or something else. For example, database S4.
Yeah.
Save. Furthermore, I can change here the tenants.
The tenant, yeah.
And now we have a policy which triggered by REST.
By REST again, yeah.
By REST again, and here you can see that destination is a Signal 4 cloud team. Yeah?
It's not an internal team of EA or a user or whatever. It's now a new item that shows up in that drop down there.
Yeah, here in the destination you can select
beautiful
the team you want to address. Yeah. And here in the details we have also some options, for the workflow which should be used in Signal 4.
Yeah.
You have the possibility that any team member has to acknowledge, or all team members must acknowledge.
Okay.
Or you can use the settings configured in your Signal 4 team. This is the default. Yeah.
So we can override it a little bit. What is set up there in Signal 4 with that particular team you want to notify, or we say do it as they configured and set it up there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Then we have the acknowledgement timeout. After the 3 minutes, the alert will be failed in Enterprise Alert. Yeah. Then we can set the Signal 4 category. Yeah. Or we can leave it empty and Signal 4 detects the category automatically
based on keywords. Yeah. The categories in Signal 4 is what we use to kind of categorize the alerts and maybe provide some different visualization or indicate severity or affected items or location. So it's a nice mechanism for immediately recognizing by color and also by push tone what is actually affected. Just as a side note here.
Yeah, severity and notification. Yeah. Then we can raise such event.
Trigger the policy.
Special REST.
With your
item. When I now send this.
Send something in, yeah.
When we can here see.
I hear your mobile phone making some noise already.
Yeah, it is the message from Signal 4.
Yeah. So it's not the Enterprise Alert app, it's the Signal 4 app.
Yeah, it's the Signal 4 app.
I see.
Cool. Yeah, here we can see the alert.
Yeah.
In Enterprise Alert, and here in the Signal Center of Signal 4. Now I have to log in.
Yeah. Tough token lifetimes for security.
Here's a new sensor event. raised by Enterprise Alert. Yeah.
So it was sent in by EA.
Correct. Scrolling a bit.
Nothing.
So, yeah. And here now I can enter an annotation.
And this is something that can also be done by the S4 app, so to say. Everything that we do here in the portal.
Yeah, comment. So, and then, yeah, I'm able to acknowledge the signal here in Signal 4. And yeah, when we now look here in Enterprise Alert, the alert should be acknowledged as well.
With the next poll on the API by the Cloud Bridge module, we get the update here as well and keep it in sync.
Yeah, we can see here the alert is acknowledged by Kai S4. That is my username in Signal 4.
Yeah.
And yeah, here's the comment. Yeah.
Great.
And now I can close it.
Yeah.
You can see Kai S4 is my name here.
Yeah.
Close.
Pretty cool.
Now it is closed. And yeah, it is enclosed in Enterprise Alert as well. Yeah, on the other side, when I raise a second event, yeah, I got the confirmation.
Yeah. Policy fired.
And now I cancel. Okay, we can look here in the Signal Center.
Yeah, it should show us an additional one as well, right? Yeah.
Here's a new signal.
Yeah.
And now I cancel this alert in Enterprise Alert.
Yeah.
Then it will be automatically closed in Signal 4 as well.
So that means if a sensor or I don't know any connector sends an update that the problem disappeared, and sends an update event, then we would close that guy in EA, and then it will also automatically close the signal behind in Signal 4 then as well.
Yeah, that's correct.
That's cool.
Now it is closed here.
Yeah.
And here
I see.
it is closed in Signal 4, and we can see here an annotation. Yeah. Alert cancelled by Kai Stash. Yeah, this is the name in Enterprise Alert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Hot stuff.
Yeah.
Two-way integration, both directions, between both products, so to say, for the before mentioned scenarios or situations. So we encourage you to definitely check that out. Maybe sign up for a trial and play a little bit with it and give us feedback and your opinion, what you think. Cool. So then let's continue our journey here with the next item that refers to an enhancement of our alert policy trigger mechanism that we've implemented, that we refer to as threshold and status recognition for the alert policies. And we've added it for IoT scenarios and industrial integrations and shop floor scenarios and stuff. Because here we typically find connectors that we use or protocols where we always get all data from sensors with each event and poll from these systems. You can see that visualized on the left-hand side, where let's say we talk about an integration via OPC industrial protocol to your shop floor production systems or whatever. And then all the items that you subscribe there that are of interest for you, like all sensor values or whatever, are contained with all events coming from that source, with each update or change, basically. And then there is now a special mode for the policies to trigger that you want to set up for these kind of sources and events that you receive from those sensors. So let's actually look at the drawings here on the top left side. There is a queue and a chain of events that we imagine come in to our Enterprise Alert instance via a before mentioned connector in that sequence that you see, so from top to bottom. And Let's imagine that you want to trigger a alert when a temperature is equal or higher than 20 degrees. And that temperature is a parameter that's part of the set of parameters that are always populated and presented through this source, with all the events coming in through that source. Then what you can do now is set up the policy, let's say policy A. And here you work with a rule where you have one rule and say the temperature is equal or higher than 20 degrees. Now, when that event on the left-hand side comes in on the very top, the policy would trigger, right? Because we can see the temperature indicated by the sensor is now 20 degrees. But now these industrial kind of connections and integrations tend to send further kind of sensor measurements to your EA environment. Yeah, so you will get shortly an update event or a next event where the temperature is now 21 degrees, yeah, shortly after the first one. But here you don't want an additional alert again. Yeah, this is what you don't want. You just want it once and then hold it off for a period of time. So that second event with that new play mode for policy triggering will be recognized as a duplicate. It doesn't trigger the policy. Yeah, because the first event that triggered it has kind of locked it for a period of time. Let's imagine another event coming in. The sensor is now reporting that the temperature decreased again, yeah, which is a good sign then for you, a good indication. And that event does no longer match the criteria of the policy. Yeah, it's no longer equal or higher than 20. So what we do is we fire an internal kind of reset event that will close your alert. You will see in the mobile apps that the sensor is obviously reporting no longer 20 degrees or higher. And your policy from there on would trigger again when the criteria is met. Yeah, so next event that we see here is again 90 degrees, nothing happens to policy A. But then afterwards, we see 20.5, and this would fire the policy again because we have seen it has fallen below that threshold value that you have configured in the policy through that one criteria. Yeah, and now it's also important to get this working or have this working when multiple policies are involved and that they don't interfere with each other. So when we look at the same set of events coming in, how would they work with an additional policy or against an additional policy that you create where you look at a totally different parameter value? Yeah, so these same events, how would they work with policy B? The first one, we have seen that on top, it only triggers policy A due to its criteria. It does not trigger policy B because here we evaluate the running field. It must be false. Yeah, the second event holds that value. It's indicating something is not running anymore. It's false. So that would trigger policy B due to its criteria. Then the following event is a duplicate to that policy because running parameter is still false. And then that other event, the next one here in that queue, indicate it has fixed running is true again. That resets the policy lock, so to say. The alert is update. You see, oh, it's running again. And from there on, should it change to false again, the policy as it is in an unlocked state would fire again. Yeah. And this is a special play mode that is accessible through a new checkbox on the policy criteria and rules page, and is particularly useful in these kind of industrial scenarios where you work with connectors or sources that have the characteristic of always including all parameters that you are alerting on or that you are evaluating at all. Yeah. So maybe it's a good idea to check that out and to get a feeling of how this looks in the product.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, we have here an enterprise alert working OPC connection. And yeah, we have a policy for this OPC.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is yeah,
like
similar
with,
to
like with the example on top where we evaluate the temperature.
Yeah, we have here the condition
tab,
that the temperature needs to be greater than 20.
Yeah.
And then an alert is created to Kai, with a message.
The
temperature.
Yeah.
And now here in the events view, I activate the auto refresh.
Yeah.
Here I have an OPC client
Mm-hmm.
where I can change here the temperature by this value. Yeah.
So there's an OPC connection polling this item or subscribe to that item, and then we get an event when you change it.
Yeah. Yeah, our connector is subscribed to the server, and when something changed here, then.
But the other three are maybe then included in the event as well, right?
Yeah.
That's the typical characteristic. Yeah.
Yeah. Here we can see the policy has triggered.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have here all the three nodes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Active, machine, and temperature. So now the temperature changed again. Yeah, to 22. And yeah, the policy will trigger again. Yeah,
and then we have two alerts.
The new option is not enabled. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have two alerts, and each sensor update, which might happen pretty frequently, always generates a new alert, right?
Yeah. Here, policy triggers again.
Yeah.
And now I change another value, like here the boolean, the active boolean, and yeah, the same temperature event comes in with 22, but yeah, the policy triggers again, and we have 3 alerts.
Yeah.
And this is a problem. No?
Yeah. Yeah.
Here in Alert Center, we see 3 alerts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And furthermore, when I now change the temperature back to 18, and all is good. Yeah.
Nothing happens, right?
Nothing happens.
Yeah.
The 3 alerts are still open. An event comes in, it triggers nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it closes the alerts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And therefore, we have here the new option, the conditions. Here, trigger one time until automatic reset event. Yeah.
So that's a fancy name, but it's the toggle that we talked about for that new property, for that new functionality on the bottom of that page. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I now enable this new option,
then the triggering is different of the policy.
Yeah. Now I change the temperature to 21.
Yeah.
And yeah, we should get event and an alert after some seconds. Yeah, here.
Yeah.
And yeah, the temperature changes to 23. And now the next event then is
a duplicate.
Is a duplicate, and we have only one alert.
Yeah.
I can change another value here.
Yeah. So if the sensor is going crazy, this doesn't disturb us too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
And yeah, we have only one alert here in the alert center. The one of the first event. Yeah. Yeah. This one here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now, when I change this temperature back to 17, or temperature is now good, then the event comes in from OPC connection.
Yeah.
It does not trigger the policy, and Enterprise Alert generates automatically an update event here. Yeah. Now we can look into it. Is with the temperature of 17. Yeah? And yeah, in the alert center, the alert is automatically closed.
It's closed, it's updated.
This is this one here.
Yeah.
Was updated by the reset event.
This is awesome. And it would not interfere with the policy where you evaluate a totally different field as shown on the slide. And that was also important while we have added this.
Yeah. That's correct.
Awesome. And that checkbox is displayed then only for certain types of event sources that you select on the first tab of a policy, right? So if you cannot set up a new policy for System Center or so, then this item wouldn't show up because it doesn't make any sense at all, because here we talk about totally different types and not these sensor-based stuff and sending again and again, right?
Yeah.
but rather one event represents one kind of incident or whatever, one alert, and then this makes no sense, but it makes particular sense in kind of industrial integration scenarios with OPC or REST. Yeah,
OPC, REST, yeah. And SOAP API. We have enabled this option. This option here. Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Great.
Yep.
So last item for today's session here is an enhancement to our high availability implementation with active-active clustering of EA. So on the left-hand side, we see a example of a setup in an active-active scenario where on top you can see a tile here showing up that represents a third-party system. And then usually what EA often does is through a connector, then we also pull the system. Yeah, so different from what we've talked about now previously with REST and more PC subscription-based. So this more refers to BMC-based integration, System Center, HP and all that stuff. Here we typically talk to their APIs and do a kind of polling. And in active-active, we do that on both nodes. Yeah, we can see that here on the top section, the connector A and connector B, they represent the same connector actually, like TrueSite or System Center Opsman, but A and B stands for different machines on which they are running, but actively running and polling events. And you can see also the kernel processes on both machines here visualized and how they synchronize through the shared database that also must be deployed highly available. And then there is this well-known heartbeat mechanism, right, that the kernel processes settle there. And then if they get too old, you can start alerting based on that and so on and so forth. Actually, we use it then for active passive with failover the heartbeat, right? But we've used it to enhance the scenario a little bit further as well, because what we've seen, what may happen in an unlikely event is, as we said, both connectors poll, and then through the DB next to that heartbeat mechanism, there's also a kind of synchronization between both connector instances on both nodes. That means one connector will forward the result set to its kernel, and the other one will drop the result set because you don't want to have duplicates, right? They poll based on time filtering or whatever, the remote system. They get the same kind of data back. One discards it, the other one forwards it further to its kernel process for further processing. Sometimes the synchronization is even before the poll, right? Then it is not polled, and sometimes it's after. Then the polling result is discarded and dropped before sending it further towards kernel and policy processing and stuff. And now the difficulty is what happens when the connector that was kind of active through this database time period synchronization mechanism, assumes it has to forward its result set, but the kernel process on that machine is no longer working because the kernel process died or whatever is not available, is not working anymore. Then the other connector has dropped the result set, and the one that was active is continuously putting it into the queue, towards the kernel, but it is never picked up there, and you lose your alerts, you lose your events, your notifications in that case. It's an unlikely event, but we've discovered it. And then we were thinking about if we could utilize actually the heartbeat reported by these kernel processes to make these synchronization between the connectors, the time period based synchronization, a little bit more intelligent. And this is what we have enhanced here, and that is coming with 9.1. So priori, you drop your events, check the heartbeat timestamp from the kernel on the other node. It's a little bit complicated, but you have that active window, connector A polls, connector B polls as well. Let's say active window was for connector A. It forwards it to the kernel, and the connector B, and the kernel A has died, so it will not pick up. And connector B now checks the heartbeat of kernel A prior dropping his events. And if it is too old, it is not dropped, but forwarded to kernel B. And then processing still happens, policies trigger, and you don't lose that event. So it's a little bit more cross intelligence here and process check to prevent that these events are placed and stored in the queue towards the kernel, but it is never picked up there because the process is not running. We have seen that once and think it's a useful and working enhancement and solution to that particular situation. And that is coming with 9.1 and is making your EA instance or HA deployment even more reliable and mature in that regard. Anything to add here? Not really, right? And there's also nothing that we can show here because this is pure code-based implementation and stuff that we did. There's no UI touch point and nothing to show here.
Yeah.
So that's just an explanation of what we did, and you can find it here in the slide deck then as well. Okay, the update path. Let's have a few words on how you can patch your systems, how you can update. And when you remember back one of the first slides, MS Teams notification channel, there's a dedicated session tomorrow on MS Teams in which we particularly look at how we can deploy the two-way functionality. Here we unfortunately are talking about opening a port and deploying some routing through your DM set and stuff. And to be able to do that and have some routing capabilities, there is some kind of help and support that we ship with the update of 9.1. And that refers to URL rewrite and application request routing in IIS, which may be helpful for you to get the data that is coming in from Teams towards that particular channel process that we've added, where it can digest the response from Teams and forward it again to the kernel process. It may not be required if you have well-established other reverse proxy routing in your DM set, then you may not need it. But it can be helpful, and we will discuss it more in detail tomorrow. So if you then decide, hey, that would be cool in my scenario, then you could use the upgrade that we ship as a exe file this time for 9.1, because it will then deploy these items, and it will also update the major version of Node.js to 14.18. I think we are coming from 10. That is what we've shipped with EA9 in April. So that is something that is also kind of a maintenance activity that this update exe file does for you. Should you don't want that and don't want your IIS to be touched, or you manage Node.js updates on your EA instance manually as well, then you could go with the MSP file, right, with the patch that we make available otherwise with regular patches and updates, and then it just updates the application itself. Right. So this slide is supposed to give you kind of direction what to choose when it comes to updating your environment to EA 9.1.
Yeah.
All right. Then I think that's it from our ends. For EA 9.1, the next version that's coming soon. And thanks for listening in. And then I think we are curious about any questions that you may have.